who's about to come on to the night show. So I don't know if you have your volume up or not there, brother Johanse, but just turn it down a little bit in the background. I don't hear anything right now, just in case though.
You saying I'm too loud? Or?
No, you're good. You're good. I thought I heard some echo, but no, you're real good. I appreciate you coming on tonight. But tonight's show is simple. It is not really something where you can say this is far-fetched, but it's going to be interesting because we're talking about is there color in Freemasonry, expelled. And the reason we put the expelled on the back end of that, the reason I put the expelled on the back end of that is simply to say that I was reading this article in regards to the South Carolina past Grand Master Mike Smith. He was expelled over a Zoom meeting. Okay? That's what it says. South Carolina past Grand Master Mike Smith expelled over a Zoom meeting. So when I got this article, I started to break it down, really want to take a look at it, really see what's happening with it. And I was like, well, damn, really what's happening here? And let me tell you, if you can Google this article, go read it for yourself. It's very deep. It's interesting. It lets you know that Freemasonry, sometimes you got to shake your head, bro. Let's just be serious. People talk about the differences in jurisdiction and this and that. But I'll tell you, I've even myself experienced something similar to what this Grandmaster has gone through. And I'll bring that up tonight. But tonight's topic is simple. It is simply saying, is there color in Freemasonry? Is there color in Freemasonry and this brother here being expelled? Because there's something behind the scenes that we are not seeing. So you can go look this article up. I certainly appreciate everybody coming on tonight. Hey, what's going on now, Teller? I hope everything's going well with you. Greetings, Brother Johnson. How you doing? Everybody who's coming on tonight. So the nice topic is simple. Is there color in Freemasonry? Please hit the thumbs up button tonight. I've been getting some, people telling me that they're not getting the notification. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to make sure for those who are interested in watching the show, come on, get the notification. I want to thank my brother for sending me this great shirt. Hey, man, you right. It's a nice fit. I appreciate the love. Thank you very much. Freemasonry 03. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the gift. So look, we're going to get right into it. So I have a special guest on tonight. He's no stranger. He's been here before, and I always mess his name up, and I'll mess it up again. But it's not intended to slight his name or anything like that. It's just that southern slang that I got. So brother Johanse, I want to welcome you once again to the show. Thank you for coming on.
Yes, thank you. And your pronouncement today was better than usual, so you didn't get
I've been practicing that, man. Let me tell you, I've been practicing to make sure I say your name correctly, because that means a lot to a lot of people,
Yeah.
So I got some static in the background. That may be coming from me. I'm not for sure. But let's get right into this. So this story. Go ahead.
Yeah. First, this whole thing is that's it. I think I was going to say the Grandmaster just went too far, but it wasn't just him. If he had a Masonic trial, you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just him that expelled him. I mean, expelling because you did a Zoom meeting that did not discuss anything about Freemasonry. You were just checking on brothers and how they were doing, amongst this pandemic, and you expel him for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because your edict was there are to be no Masonic. Now, when I was reading the article, it says no, proud Masonic meetings or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
or social media or anything.
Right.
It says, but it also says no irregular meetings. And I'm like, what is that? What is an irregular meeting? You know, what is an irregular, social media meeting?
Uh-huh.
You know, what is that?
Right.
I get together, if I as a Mason decide that I want to talk to 3 of my friends that are also Masons, and we talk to each other on Zoom, and we don't talk anything about lodge meetings or lodge proceedings or anything like that. You know, is that an irregular meeting? You know, and I was like, what is it? The edict, that part of that edict was very vague, and I'm agreeing with you. This is too extreme. It's irrationally extreme.
Right.
For what he did. Which makes me think that there's something else behind it.
Well, you look.
Whenever something is so irrational or doesn't make any sense, whenever anything is like that, it almost doesn't matter what it is. There's something else behind it.
Okay, so let's take a look at this article. So I pulled it up, and it says a story from the Grand Lodge of South Carolina has been brewing for several months under the weird and details of starting to come out. Some of the details are starting to come out. According to several sources, South Carolina past Grand Master Michael D. Smith has been expelled from the fraternity following a Grand Lodge trial commission on January the 30th. So he had, according to this article, a Grand Lodge trial. Now check this out. It says, past Grand Master Smith served as Grand Master from 2017 to 2019. South Carolina Grand Master served 2-year terms. Prior to his expulsion, he was serving as Lieutenant Grand Commander of the Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction, second in command only to the Grand Commander, as well as the Sovereign Grand Inspector Generals for the Orient of South Carolina. Mike Smith is widely admired and well liked, not only in his home state, but throughout the Masonic community, and his expulsion comes as a shock to many. He has been a Mason since 1980. Now, that's just a little tad bit about it. But we know that he had the Masonic trial, right? That's what it said. But you and I both read this article prior to coming on here tonight. But there was something shifty in regards to that Masonic trial. You recall what you read in that? Hello? Oh, I must have lost him. But anyway,
I'm here.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Repeat your question.
I said, do you recall as far as what was being said in the article? Because it says that he had a Masonic trial.
Yeah, I'm not recalling. We talked about it earlier. I'm not recalling that. What is being said.
Okay. So
Okay,
so let's take a look at it. So it says Mike Smith expulsion is rooted in a violation of edicts issued last year during the COVID pandemic by the current Grand Master, Walter C. Cal Disher II. On May 29th, this is when the edicts came out. May 29th, Grand Master Disher ordered that all Masonic meetings in South Carolina be suspended until further notice. That's the edicts. And then it says, as a reminder, no lodge hall is to be used during the time period. Notice read. I have stopped several lodge functions. Lodge members organizing either through Zoom, media, phone, or other venues. Brothers, as a reminder, it is a grave Masonic offense to conduct any irregular meeting or business during this time. So this edict that went out said no phone calls, no phone conferences, no Zoom, no anything in regards to Masonic meetings. That's what it says. Right. That's what I'm reading, right?
Right. Right.
Then he said he put out a written notice, was sent to the lodge in June, reiterating his edicts forbidding all Masonic meetings in person or via electronic media. This Grandmaster said, look, you ain't gonna meet, period. I don't care. It can be a phone call, it can be Zoom, it can be whatever.
Like you mentioned, he's saying more than that.
Yeah.
He's saying more than that. He's saying you just can't talk to, like, me and you now.
Right?
I just can't do that.
Nope.
I can't. If I was in, I'm not in South Carolina, so, but as a Mason in South Carolina, I can't even call up another Mason and say, "Hey, man, how you doing?"
That's what he's saying. That's exactly what he's saying.
And I think, and I personally think that's beyond his power as a Grand Master.
Well, those are what you call assumed powers, because Grand Session is not in. He's the Grand Lodge. He's everything. So he does this. He has the authority to do it. He's Grand Master, so he has that leeway.
What I mean is what his edict is doing is now it's gone beyond the authority of Freemasonry and now has stepped into the realm of my civil rights to be able to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, I hear exactly what you're saying. Is that static yours or mine? I'm trying to figure that out. But anyway.
Mine. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. So
Is it still staticky? I don't know.
no, it's better now, but it just comes in every now and then, but it's better now. So check this out. It says a written notice was sent to the lodge in June, reiterating an edicts forbidding all Masonic meetings in person via electronic means. While the Grand Lodge officers may be communicating with the lodges and members via of their private Grand View system, they have their own private Grand View system. Neither their public web page nor their Facebook account have been updated since last summer. Lodges remain completely closed until December, when new guidelines was finally issued for limited in-person lodge meetings under the heavy restrictions, but South Carolina brethren are still forbidden to engage in any sort of virtual meetings or any kind as a Mason, even if the ritual is not involved or no lodge business is even conducted. They was forbidden to have contact with each other. God damn.
Let me give you an example, right?
Uh-huh.
Let me give you an example of what he's saying can't be done and why I'm saying it has gone beyond his authority as a Grand Master, right?
Go ahead.
I'm involved in an investment.
Uh-huh.
And let's just say I'm in South Carolina. I'm involved in an investment group. And in that investment group, 3 of my Prince Hall Masonic brothers are in. So let's just say I'm in North Carolina. That means, and when we talk about our investment, we talk on Zoom.
Right.
So that means then, because what is the definition of irregular?
Uh-huh.
Right? I mean, irregular means a non-Masonic discussion.
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm assuming irregular means.
Okay.
You know, so a non-Masonic discussion. So that means then that I cannot get on a Zoom and talk my investment strategies in this investment group that I'm in with these other Masons that are investing with me.
Right.
See, that's not his power. He don't have the power to dictate that to me.
Hey, look, you're not going to get that argument out of me. I'm agreeing with you 110%. But check this out.
Like I said, it's such a crazy, edict that I think there's something else beyond it, behind it.
Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna keep reading this because there is something else behind it. That's why I said, is there color in Freemasonry? Expelled. There is something else behind it. Hold on just a second. So it says in his role as the sovereign Grand Inspector General for South Carolina, sources say Mike Smith had a series of several informal Zoom gatherings for the state 6 Scottish Rite valleys. Okay, now he's acting as a Scottish Rite Mason, not a Blue Lodge Mason. Okay,
Right.
now it says these were described by several participants as how is everybody doing, health check, good cheer sessions. These it says these were not title meetings or even private ones. Sources say no Masonic business was conducted, although one observed indicated that in the last one, in at least one case, the name of some of the new Scottish Rite petitioners was read and accepted. At least one attended claim. Smith informed the Grand Master ahead of time that he wanted to conduct these sessions and was acting in good faith because the Grand Master raised no objection. Nevertheless, after events, Grandmaster Dishore deemed it would be a violation of his non-electronic Masonic meetings edicts and sought charges against Smith. Okay, so we know right there, it was like he already told the Grandmaster, I'm doing this under the Scottish Rite banner, bruh. I'm just giving you heads up. Mind you, I'm the lieutenant commander. I'm the second man in charge over the southern jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And I got 6 valleys under me. I'm just letting you know I'm doing this with my brothers on the Scottish Rite side. It has nothing to do with you as Grandmaster State. Nothing at all. He gave the man hands up. Okay? Then it says, some say Grandmaster Desher brings up charges against close to 150 South Carolina Scottish Rite Masons who participated in the Zoom call. He wants to bring up charges on 150 Scottish Rite Freemasons because they was on Zoom. So he's saying, what I'm hearing is that his edicts supersedes, as you were saying, anything else because he was operating under the Scottish Rite Southern jurisdiction in his space as an officer. Okay. Then it says, in South Carolina, the Grand Junior Warden is normally charged by the Constitution to bring charges against an accused Mason who is to be tried in his own lodge. Hear that? The Junior Warden, according to their Constitution, the Junior Warden is the one who brings up the charges, and the trial is held in his lodge. Period. Okay? Then it says Mike Smith has been a longtime member of Landrum Lodge number 278, but a trial by the lodge was denied by the Grand Master. He's like, no, we ain't going that way. So you already know something is about to happen. You already know this man is supposed to have a trial in his lodge. Not going to happen. The Grand Master shut it down. So when people tell me that, hey, you know, Hawkins, we do things this way, we don't do that. I'm watching this mainstream Grand Lodge. Like totally run. I mean, the Grand Master is definitely running them up. Go ahead. What you got to say?
Yeah. This just shows you, I remember I was with some Masons a long time ago when I was in college, and they were like, and we were talking with people who weren't Masons. And so one of the people who weren't Masons said, so all of y'all think alike? All of y'all have the same principles? All of y'all think, similarly? And, I didn't answer the question, but one of my friends was like, no. There's many different perspectives of Freemasonry as there are members, right? So what you're looking at and what you're dealing with is this Grand Master is his whole understanding of how you are to conduct yourself and conduct business and be a leader in Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm.
have to extend it to the other officers in the lodge that, you know, was a part of the trial. I'm just like, how could y'all agree?
They didn't agree. They didn't agree. How
did you agree to that?
The Grand Master.
It was there. I would have been able to. I would have agreed to that.
Hey, but they didn't agree. They didn't have a choice in the matter. The Grand Master ran everything. They didn't have a choice, bruh. They didn't have a choice. It was the Grand Master. It was at his will and pleasure. It was a wrap. Now check this out. Some say that the Grand Master Disher also discussed bringing charges against close to 150, right? It says in South Carolina, the Grand Junior Warden, we talked about that, he's the one who brings up charges against anyone. Then it says, and then there's about 3 weeks ago, the Grand Master appeared in Landrum Lodge and revoked their charter. He not only did he not give the man a rightful trial, he came and took the charter from the lodge and didn't even give them an opportunity. That's how he was able to gun and shit. That's how he was able to, just run it down their throat. He was like, I don't care what you say. I'm Grand Master. Give me your charter, okay? And all of y'all can get to stepping. Damn. Dude.
That's
raw, man.
Yeah, that's really raw.
That's raw. Now, we're going to get to the good part of this because there's something that I don't know how many people have actually read this, but something's going to pop off in just a second. Now, it says, and then so it says a long-time reader has been many members in South Carolina, past Grand Master J. Adams in person in 2013 when he was serving as Grand Master, he suspended South Carolina relationships with the shrine. So you know they have already said, we don't want to have nothing to do with the shrine. If you want to be a shrine, that's on your own. So they don't even have a connection to the shrine, period. They did that thing. That was back in 2013. Something else is about to happen now. From reading this, it seems as if that jurisdiction, South Carolina jurisdiction, is going to separate themselves from their Scottish Rite body. Because this guy, the past Grand Master, is the lieutenant for the Southern jurisdiction. And he didn't even get a fair trial in his Blue Lodge. What does that tell you? I'm just looking at it for what it is. Now check this out. It says, whereas, as he was informing me, the honorable members of their Grand Lodge, instead of the South Carolina Grand Junior Warden bringing the charges against Smith as their Constitution direct, past Grand Master was named as the head of the trial. Okay? Two sources have reported that the trial commission also included one more member of past Grand Master person's own family.
Yeah.
Notable, his father.
Wow.
He had his dad.
Wow.
All right. And then it says, according to the attendance, Smith's trial session lasted 1 week and was quite long, over 10 hours. Witnesses were called, but because of COVID meeting restrictions, they were forced to remain outside in their car in the bitter cold, whether while waiting to testify one at a time. Okay, then it goes on to say, it says, not that there could be any of the sort of connections, but both J. Adams Pearson and Mike Smith was considered as possible successors to the Grand Secretary position. Check that out. So you have this man's father, you have the sitting Grand Master's father, J. Adams Pearson, right? And you have Mike Smith. They're both looking at being the Grand Secretary of State.
Wow.
Okay? This is coming at the up and coming communication. Now, obviously, past Grand Master Smith is no longer eligible. Okay? In his 40-year Masonic career, he has been, all right? Then it goes on to say, and then lurking in the background is the ghost of Prince Hall. Is there color in Freemasonry? It says the ghost. Wow. Now it says lurking in the background, the ghost of Prince Hall.
They attacked this man because they don't want him to be Grand Secretary. and because he's pushing the recognition of PHS.
Absolutely. He was pushing that recognition. And then it says, all right, South Carolina is one of the just 7 remaining states Grand Lodges that does not have amity with their Prince Hall Grand Lodge counterpart. There was a widespread campaign that past Grandmaster Smith was a prominent proponent of the Prince Hall recognition. Of course, past Grandmaster Pearson had made his opinion known to me in the past of what he think of the so-called liberal forwarding thinking Masons who advocate for Prince Hall recognition. So Pearson, who's the father of the sitting Grand Master who wanted to be secretary, has already told you, I don't give a damn. I've already told you how I felt about him.
Right.
This is coming out of the article.
Right.
So
and he had an attitude, not just he had an attitude about the people who was advocating for this recognition.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
Did it? Now, I ain't done with you yet, man. It says before past Grandmaster Smith, before past Grandmaster Person, okay, was off to the multiple letters. He sent out multiple letters to explain all of the ways I'm in error. So he sent this guy multiple letters explaining to him why he was in error. On these events, I wanted to clear the state that I have not spoken or corresponded with past Grandmaster Mike Smith about this story in his prior correspondence with me. Past Grandmaster Person made it clear that it is he's strict by the book of Masons. He took the position back in 2016 when he was the Grand Master and need not to explain or even report when a Mason is expelled, except to alert the fraternity not to converse Masonically with the members under strict sentences. Farther, he says sentences. Now check this out. When you are expelled, that's the death blow, bruh.
Yeah, because you have nothing anymore.
Nothing at all.
You have nothing. Yeah.
That was shit. Yeah, man. Then he goes on to say, I'm reading the whole report, bruh. I'm reading the whole report. Because now we're finding out that because past Grandmaster Smith was an advocate for recognition, and the setting Grandmaster was like, nah, it ain't happening. He had already told him. And then past Grandmaster Person was like, you know what? I'm just letting you know how I feel. It ain't going down like that. All right? So they was really joying at this whole thing. And so that leads us into tonight's topic. That leads us to let us know that there is color in Freemasonry. No matter how you try to whitewash it, no matter how you try to smooth it over, man, there is color in Freemasonry. People can say whatever they want to say, and you and I have this conversation.
Well, we get ready to go through it. We get ready to expose the color. Because there's several levels in which color is in Freemasonry, right? The idea, there's the ideas of Freemasonry, how Freemasonry just generally functions and behave in general. Then there's the behavior of, the behavior of the people in Freemasonry.
Right.
So, and both of those together, definitely support and gives, reality to the fact that there is color in Freemasonry. And there's always been, I guess we want to move on to that part? Or?
Yeah, I'm going to move on further into it. Are you outdoors?
No, what's happening?
No, I got some more of that static, and I got you on a main line. So, but anyway,
is it gone now?
It's gone now.
I had you on the speakerphone, so
okay.
I just took you off the speakerphone.
Okay, so check this out. It says, it goes on to say that he needed not to explain anything to anybody in regards to what he did. Basically, that's what he said. All right. So it says, with that in mind, the Grand Lodge of South Carolina annual communication is scheduled for April, but because of COVID pandemic, it is still continuous. It is still continuing not to have it. One can help but wonder whether the meeting will ever take place. And unless the Grand Master changes his mind about the virtual meeting, there is no chances it will be conducted by video. At best,
Yeah.
they may simply attempt to assemble no more than a quorum to conduct their business as some other jurisdictions have done. All right. The
Yeah.
Grand Lodge of South Carolina has a reputation of attempting to hide from technology. Any Masonic Lodge website must receive written approval from the Grand Lodge, which is why there are so fewer than them. Lodges may not have a Facebook page or any other social media page, and all of the digital interaction about Freemasonry is forbidden. Perhaps that works well for them until 2020. But with COVID pandemic shutdown and the ongoing shattering of the lodges since their last spring, forbidding any and all a person's online interaction among their brethren has made for a pretty bearing fraternal experience. I have been told that several South Carolina lodges have relied on fundraising events. This is the first time I ever heard of them relying on fundraisers for themselves. They've been relying on fundraisers events in the past year and have gone broke, have been forced to close permanently. Damn. One would wonder how many South Carolina Masons will reconsider their membership and focus on the jurisdiction that leaves them no avenue for fraternal socialization of any kind. South Carolina in the past history of cuffed around appending bodies, such as when the past Grand Master cut off the Shriners. We know that. Then Mike Smith informed the Scottish Rite gathering was not the only appending group to fall under the gaze of the Grand Master this season. Last month, the Grand Council of Alliance Masonic Degree announced the resurrection for online Zoom meeting. So oh man, this is gonna get nasty. The Grand Council of Alliance, they're gonna be having Masonic Zoom meetings. If you are a member of the South Carolina jurisdiction, what are you gonna do?
Well, you're not going to go to the Zoom meeting if you don't want to get expelled.
I mean, really, when you think about it, what are you gonna do? And they tell me that my jurisdiction and where I'm at, we crazy. They tell us that you ain't this and you ain't that. But reading this, I don't know, bro.
Yeah, I think this is gonna strike a big blow to mainstream Freemasonry in South Carolina. You know, I don't think it's gonna affect, you know, African American Masonry that much because, you know, none of us really falls under that Grand Master's jurisdiction.
I would say this. Looking at this as an opportunity, strictly an opportunity, strictly to where if you want to really make a statement, this is my own opinion. Now, no disrespect to any of my Prince Hall brethren, those who are on the page, but right now is that time. If you want to show some sovereignty about who you are, about what you're about, I would actually reach out to Grandmaster Smith and say, look, we understand you're expelled, but we have no Masonic amity with your former jurisdiction. We would like to extend this fellowship branch with you. We know what you're trying to do, and you can't do it, so don't even force it. Why don't you just come on over here?
I think that would be an extremely good gesture, specifically considering that he was one of the advocates for the recognition. I would think that but my feeling, you know, I don't have any data around this, but my feeling is I don't think the Prince Hall Grandmaster is even thinking along those lines.
But why not? I mean, look,
I don't, you
bruh,
know,
this is, bruh,
they would have to, we've been trying to, get recognition for 200 years.
mm-hmm.
And my thought, again, this is just my thinking. I don't have anything to back any of this up. My thought would be is the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of South Carolina won't do what you say because the possibility of jeopardizing the future recognition.
But bruh,
them getting recognition in the future.
Look, we gotta stop. Look, like I said, I'm not a Prince Hall Mason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to cut anybody either way. But as a people, we gotta stop looking for people to accept us and start setting some groundwork and start drawing a line in the sand. Hell, they draw a line with me. So you shit. So if you're gonna draw a line with me, if you're gonna do that, if you're gonna draw a line with me and I look like you, I'm in the same community as you, go to the same church. If you're gonna do it to me, you need to draw a line with everybody, bro. You need to stand on your. If you're gonna tell me that you're a sovereign Grand Lodge, and you know that this Grand Master over here has pushed for recognition between your two Masonic bodies, but now he's been cut down like a tree in the forest. This is that opportunity for you to, who's the Grand Master of State, to say, look, I know what you've been trying to do. Why don't you come on over here? Let us build here.
Yeah,
because
that would be an extremely honorable gesture.
Uh-huh.
But on the flip side of that, that would also be telling the present Grand Master of State, to go to hell. Because
this ain't nothing. Hey, look, they always tell you to go to hell. We make it sound like this is something new. This is not new.
Yeah. No, it's not new, and so that's what they would think. That I think that's what's happening. That's the perspective that I think the Prince Hall Grand Lodge of South Carolina will take. They would think about the possibility of future recognition, and if they were to do that, how would that affect that possibility, that future recognition possibly happening? Unfortunate that I think that would be a concern.
Man, I just see this as one of those moments where if you're going to proclaim to be all that in a bag of French fries, and that's that opportunity that sometimes you just can't wait on someone to offer you an olive branch and say, yeah, I like you.
And you know me, I'm like, first, if you don't want to be my friend, I'm not going to jump through no hoops trying to get you to be my friend.
Correct.
And the last thing is how long are you going to continue to ask to be a friend?
Mm-hmm.
That the person keeps saying no.
Mm-hmm.
How long are you going to do it? It's been 200 years. How long are you going to do it? It's time for us to stop being concerned about this recognition. We're just not getting.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is going to drive a wedge like it did with the Shriners with the Scottish Rite body?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think it does. I think it has the potential to do that. I think it has the potential to do that, based upon how respected Supreme Grand Inspector General Smith is.
Mm-hmm.
If he's big time respected, then most likely it will. Most likely it will.
Mm. Now check this out. I just received this here. Okay, it says this is dated February the 5th, 2021 at 10:35 a.m. So check this. I just got this here. It says, "Thank you for the article, the one I just read. I'm in agreement that this appeared to be extreme overreach the part of the current Grand Master. I must, however, point out one grueling question. If past Grand Master Smith were truly a proponent of the mutual recognition with the Prince Hall Grand Lodge, then why did he not extend it during his time and tenure as Grand Master? As a MD, a PHA Mason who was raised in North Carolina and has been privy to the practices of the South, I have every reason to doubt past Grandmaster Smith's sincerity in attempting to achieve amity and visitation. Perhaps he has now had a change of heart, and from what I applaud him, either way, the question should be addressed." Wow, this is from White Wushford, Terrence J. I can't hardly see his last name. Cleggs, I think. EGG something.
Wow, but wait a minute. Is he listening to your podcast now?
I don't know, bro. I just got this message.
That was such an on time response.
Bro, I'm telling you, I just got the message.
Yeah, I was like, is he listening now? Now he brings up a really good point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If Grandmaster Smith is such a big, supporter of recognition, then why didn't he extend recognition when he was Grandmaster? That is a good point.
Hey, see, I didn't know that until now. This just hit my phone, bro.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening with this thing, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. Now, considering, like he said, it's possible that he had a change of a heart, and now he's for this recognition.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that really doesn't change the possibility that he was attacked because of that.
Okay, so check this out then.
That don't mean that he wasn't, that don't, in other words, his support based upon this response he just got from what's his brother's name?
Terrence.
From Brother Terrence, based upon his response, that he may not be sincere.
That's what I'm getting at. I mean, that's what I'm.
Even though he may not be sincere, and let's say that's a possibility. The fact that he showed direct outward support of it, they attacked him. They attacked him, sincere or not. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
They attacked him. They don't care whether you're sincere about it. You saying you support it. You gotta go. You better be able to go through some big time song and dance, convincing them that I'm just doing that. I would never, have no Prince Hall, recognition. I'm just doing that. You better be able to go through some serious song and dance to prove that.
Now check this out.
Those things are really hard to tell. That's hard to tell.
But I got one more for you. Now this is from Anonymous. Okay, this is Anonymous. Says a letter from the Prince Hall Grand Lodge discussing mutual recognition was received and read at Brother Smith last South Carolina Grand Session. It did not pass the vote. Hopefully the brothers can it's kind of blurry. Hopefully the brothers can look back at this in the new and see this in the future, as well as many injustices that has been forced upon us. So they have already viewed when he was Grand Master. Anonymous said that a letter was sent out already from Prince Hall in regards to mutual recognition, and it didn't pass the cut. It didn't pass the cut.
So that means so now the question is was he in support of it back then? You know, because if it doesn't pass, that's not the Grand Master saying no. That's the body saying no.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that vote, his vote could have been yes, but the body said no. You see what I'm saying? So that's the question. What was his vote at the time when that letter was sent? You know, but we all understand, you know, there's color in Freemasonry, particularly among behavior.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, 2021, there's no recognition between Prince Hall, Grand Lodge of South Carolina, and the Grand Lodge of South Carolina.
But man, but the plot thickens, because once he came out and said, look, I'm in support of this, or let's say, for instance, they knew when he was Grand Master, they knew he was in support of it. Let's just hypothetically say that, because it says that in the article. Then when he's no longer Grand Master and he wants to be secretary, because look, let's be honest, the secretary and treasurer, besides the Grand Master, they run everything, bro. When you think about it, your secretary, your treasurer, bruh, them two entities right there, they can make or sink a jurisdiction, any jurisdiction. One has money, the other one has the minutes.
Right.
I'm for real though. You know,
one governs the money, and the other one governs the way the lives move.
Absolutely.
The worshipful master sets the way, but it's the secretary and the secretary's work that makes that way happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's the secretary's work that makes that way happen. So, but yeah, you know, I mean, in all of this, and you know, and this is, and this whole thing, and as we were talking about it, you know, the support of Prince Hall and all of this, in, you know, coming from the Grand Lodge of the state and this struggle, this 200 and some odd year struggle of PHA, is all a part of how Freemasonry has color. That's how come when African American Masons say Freemasonry doesn't have color, and I'm like, how in the world are you saying that? You know,
let me tell you, this is how they say it.
I was like,
look.
Are you not looking at 200 and some odd years of history?
Hey,
how are you not saying that?
They said like this here. They said Freemasonry has no color because it is not based upon your color, your religion, or your faith that you become a Mason. It says that. So people take that literal and say Freemasonry has no color. But the reality is...
Well, that's partially true.
Okay.
That's partially true.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning that, and I, you know, I did my lecture on, you know, I did the lecture on Freemasonry, whether Freemasonry has color. But what we have to learn to do is African American Masons, and it's an issue that we have generally as African American people, as a result of us being victims of a white supremacist society. We develop how we see the truth or how we see reality based on how we want to feel.
Mm-hmm.
How we want to feel. And that want and that desire to feel blinds us to what really is happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so and we gotta break that grip and then see reality and then start to dictate behavior and ways to move based upon that reality. And the reality is that Freemasonry is very much so a religious organization. It is very much so rooted in Christianity. It's just accepting of other faiths. And
Wait. Time out. Let's rewind that for a minute. What you just said. You said Freemasonry. At its core is rooted in Christianity. Did I hear that right?
Right.
Okay, now
Very much so.
let's hold that back because and I say that because in my studies in meeting various brothers, it's Americanized Masonry is different than Mexican across the border of the United South America Masonry. It is different. Okay, it is practiced different. It is different. I'm 15 minutes from the border, and I've gone across. I can tell you that it's different.
Okay, let me ask you this. All right, let me ask you this. Do they put the Bible on the altar?
They have a couple of They have a couple of VSLs on the altar.
Yeah, the Bible is one of them, right?
Yes, it is.
Do they know? Let me ask you this question. When it comes down to the degrees, do they know what passage those other books that are on the altar are open on?
Those books.
Can you ask them in the first degree what book? Let's say that they got the Quran.
It's not on. I will tell you this here.
Right.
It is not on. It is not like we have the book open on Psalms, right?
Right.
Okay. It's not on Psalms.
And the question becomes: if Freemasonry is rooted in Christianity, then why does it have a knowledge of what passage the Bible is opened on?
I just said it's not on Psalms. It is
not. So their Bible, when they open their Bible, is not on Psalms.
No, sir.
Oh wow, that is interesting.
Yeah, it is.
It is opened on a passage.
It's open on a passage, but it's not Psalms.
The question becomes: do they know what the other books are opened on?
Well, from my own personal experience, they're just open. And you have a choice to choose which book you want to take your obligation on based on your faith. Now, check this out. I would tell you this. It is based, I would tell you this. The square and the compass allows you to identify which degree work they're on. And it's not open. The Bible is not open on a particular page at all. It's just open.
Oh, that's interesting. See, now that's very unique. That's very unique.
And I tell you this because
it's very unique. That's very unique.
Before I go further, I want to send Brother Morpheus a shout out real quick. I want to send Brother Morpheus a shout out. I want to say thank you for your support and just giving me a phone call every now and then. I want to say thank you. I appreciate it. Now, I want to share this with you. So in my rookie years, when I was a Mason, I felt pretty cocky. So in my visitation experience, when I was asked to come before the altar, and I got there, and you have to address and look at it, to me, I said it was cloudy. I said, this is cloudy. This is cloudy. What? It was like, senior deacon. Checked that altar out. Went up there, senior deacon came, said, wish for master? We good. I was like, well, damn. He was like, Brother Hawkins, we appreciate you coming and visiting with us. However, that's not how we do it. Bruh.
This is in Mexico.
Bruh, it broke me. Because I'm thinking that this, my passage, the way I have it, is like that across the board. And it's not.
Let's talk about it, right? Let's talk about it. Because it's more than just the Bible in Freemasonry that sets Christianity as the foundational belief of Freemasonry. It's more than just the Bible. It's a lot of things in Freemasonry. Now, the reason that I'm saying that and is because this is something that we have to understand about. And I say this a lot, and I said this in my lecture about Africa being the source of Freemasonry. People do things in their cultural paradigm. Whatever cultural paradigm that they identify with as a person, that their behavior is going to be dictated by that cultural paradigm.
Okay.
And Freemasonry was developed in Europe by European Christian males. And so that cultural paradigm is saturated in Freemasonry. It is saturated in Freemasonry. And
I can't deny that. I can't deny that at all. I can't.
Right. And so they were Christians that was developing Freemasonry. And so they did, and they dealt with what their cultural paradigm dictated, even though they tried not to. And that's because they didn't understand that they were behaving according to a cultural paradigm, according to their cultural ideas and their cultural values, right? And that's what, and France noticed some of that. And that's why France made the decisions that they made, which caused the whole split and them to be considered clandestine when they took the Bible off of the altar. Because their thing was, not only do all men don't believe in God, all people's faith don't have a book.
Hold on just a second. I think that was Brother Debo Taylor trying to call in. Brother Debo Taylor, that was you trying to call in. You're welcome to call back. Go ahead.
Yeah. So there are other faiths that doesn't have a book. So when that faith comes, that person in that faith, if they want to become a Freemason and they come to the altar, then what are you going to put on there? Then that means that person, if you put somebody else's book because the rule says that a VSL has to be on the altar, if that person now has to...
Hold on just a second. I have Brother Debo. We was trying to call in, Brother Debo. Brother Debo.
Yeah, I actually hit you by mistake, but since I'm on here.
So I don't know if you know the topic for tonight at all, but definitely we're talking about the issue with the Grand Master of South Carolina being expelled. So the topic has really kind of grown over into the aspect of where we're at right now, dealing with Freemasonry being saturated with Christianity on a European style, if I'm not mistaken. This is cultural. This is what Brother Yahansi is bringing forth. That is, but I would tell you this here though, and I'm speaking only because it's my jurisdiction. The brothers of my craft, I have seen them say they didn't want to take the obligation upon the Bible. They took their obligation upon the Constitution of the Grand Lodge.
Right.
Okay.
So now that's a neutral kind of thing. That's a neutral. That makes taking your obligation now neutral, because you're not. You know what?
Go ahead.
With a specific religious culture, you know, you're dealing with the organizational thing.
Okay, hold on just a second. Brother Debo, go ahead. Say what? Brother Debo?
I want to go back to what he was saying about
Go ahead.
the organization being saturated in Christianity. how you and I had this conversation.
You're fading in and out there, bruh. Go ahead, because you was fading in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, got you.
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, going back to
okay.
Man,
Brother Debo, I think we got a bad connection here because you definitely going in and out. Yeah, I don't
all
know.
right, let me call you back.
Okay, give me a call back. All right, go ahead, Brother Johansson.
yeah, I mean, and those are several things, and all there's and because the organizers, as I was saying, the organizers of Freemasonry were very much so Christian, then they're European. So Freemasonry is saturated with the religious belief system of the Europeans that organized it.
Okay, hold on just a second.
Yeah.
Hey, bro, what's going on with you, man? I ain't talked to you since a day and ago.
Is he on?
Yeah, hold on. This is another brother here. What's going on with you, Brother Ross?
I'm well. I can't complain.
All right, what you got for me tonight?
Life is good. I agree with the brother. I agree with the brother that's speaking right now about Christianity being, embedded in the lining or the essence of what we stand on as Freemasonry, even on an international level. Even in my lodge, being from the Grand Orient de France, like us taking the VSL off of our altar from the beginning and going into co-Freemasonry and observing their rituals and all of these things made us very irregular amongst UGLE.
But check this out. But hold on just a second. Now, if anybody really studies Freemasonry, we will know that in the beginning of such an ideal of Freemasonry, the Bible was never upon the altar.
Exactly. And that's where we stand in the GOTF. But because the overall belief and essence, like the brother was talking about, there being a plethora of aspects of Freemasonry that are related to Christianity in particular. The very fact that we have catechisms is a Catholic Christian process. The very fact that the higher degrees of Freemasonry are very Catholic and Judaic in their origin. So regardless if a person's VSL is the Bible, the Quran, or the Torah, all three of these Abrahamic faiths stand on the traditions of Abraham. Therefore, they're rooted in Judeo-Christian substance. And we use the term Judeo-Christianity as opposed to Abrahamic faith due to the fact that there's a distinction between the way Muslims serve and interpret the scriptures versus the way Jews and Christians share some similarities, but in reality, Muslims and Jews share a larger similarity in the way that they interpret scripture. Okay. So the faith is stipulated upon a person. So like in GOTF, we take our obligation currently on our constitution. We don't, or a person's chosen VSL. But the thing is, the VSL is already not on the altar. So we're already taking our obligations based in our constitution. In a fine print, and in our faith in a creator or something that's greater than ourselves. It doesn't have to be stipulated through a lens of religion. But that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. He's speaking about exactly what I'm talking about. The Judeo-Christian belief is the faith of Europe. So
it is.
So the people that organize Freemasonry, that's why the highest degree in York Rite is the Knights Templar. I mean, who the hell is that? Because that's their cultural paradigm. You see what I'm saying?
But see, hold on.
That
but see, that goes back to something that you and I discussed a few years back when I came to Atlanta. Well, you was working on some things yourself.
Exactly.
Remember that? Now,
still doing it, still preparing it. Yep.
Now, see, and King Musa and I has talked too. It is up to us
Right.
if we're going to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about secret societies or whatever, however you want to label it, however you want to break it down, it
Right.
is up to us to develop, if we choose to, our
Right.
own system, if we chose to.
Exactly.
Now, I know we've gotten off the subject as far as dealing with past Grandmaster Smith being expelled, but this leads right back into colorism in Freemasonry,
Right.
meaning to say that sometimes you have to have your own, and there's
Right.
nothing with there's nothing
And let,
like having your own.
and let me say why, and this is interesting, and let me say why a good amount of us do not see that Freemasonry has a color, right? Freemasonry is rooted in European cultural paradigm, and as people that have been oppressed, we have been oppressed by a European cultural paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
So the basis of our day-to-day behavior and how we see the world is rooted in a European cultural paradigm.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, we don't see the color in Freemasonry. We don't realize that Freemasonry is a European cultural dominant organization.
Mm-hmm.
Because we are rooted in that European culture. So we don't see it. We don't see it. We don't experience it.
That's a good
and it's
point.
not until we free our thinking from the ideas that, speaking in this language, right? Because we got a language in Freemasonry.
Right.
The words and the passwords are in a language.
Correct.
All of those words and passwords in the language, all the way up from 1 to 33rd and from 1 to 9th Templar, are all rooted in European cultural dialect. There is no password in Asian language. There's no password in American language.
Mm-hmm.
There's no password in India, people from Indian language, and there is no password definitely in no African language.
That's true.
And so this is when you say, well, is there color in Freemasonry? Of course there's color in Freemasonry. It's white, right?
So
And that white is European.
So why is it that we are so afraid of doing us? Why is it that we are so afraid of each other and doing us? Like take for instance, if you decide to develop a system of rights and lights for African Americans or for black people in America, if you decided to do that, how many brothers would actually want to have a buy-in on saying, I want to be part of that because that's ours. That's developed by us, for us.
It's very interesting, right? It's very interesting. There's two dynamics with that, right?
Uh-huh.
I think a bunch of brothers will probably say, yeah, that sounds good. But very few brothers will actually move with me to do it.
Oh, man. But see, here's the thing.
Very few would actually move with me to do it. Because, again, we have to understand, and there's a scholar in Austin. His name is Neely Fuller Jr., and he wrote a book called A Compensatory Guide for Victims of White Supremacy. Thought, action, it's a long title.
Uh-huh.
But on the very first page of the book, he quotes something. Well, it's not a quote because it's his words. So, and he says, if you do not understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, then everything you think you know will only confuse you.
Ooh.
So, we as African Americans have to understand that the way we have been historically taught to see the world is through the cultural paradigm of European supremacy.
I have to agree with you on that. I have to agree with you on that.
Right.
Yeah, that's
We
clear as
then
day.
need to rethink everything that we think and believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so so when you ask whether brothers will want to be a part of something that I would develop for African Americans, they may like it, but they're not going to do it. Because as victims of European supremacy, we deep down in our inner consciousness that the European way is the way.
I'm going to say this to Alex.
The way, all of a sudden, oh, you hear the static?
Well, I hear a little static, but I'm going to say something because the brother made it a point. He said, I guess he thought that I was saying that Freemasonry is a religion. And I never said that Freemasonry is a religion. I'm saying that I agree with the fact that when you look at Christianity and Freemasonry, it is saturated. Christianity is all through Freemasonry, no matter how you chop it up and give it to somebody on the plate. If you gave me a rice burrito and gave me meat with it, it still got rice in it. So no matter how you chop it up, it has it in there, and it's all through it. So it is not that we're saying that it's completely that, but we're saying it's saturated with it. That's all we're saying.
Can I say something?
I wasn't thinking that he said it was a religion.
No. He said Alex said it for me. He was stating the fact that it was not a Freemasonry towards me. Go ahead there, Brother King.
So, like, for instance, right, like, when we look at the development of what we know as the Empire of Rome, once Rome became Christianized, these catechisms were introduced through the Roman Catholic Church to prove that people were not heretics and to prove that people were genuinely a part of the priesthood when they traveled abroad. So long story short, when we start looking at this same concept that comes out of Rome, what we also adapt is Arianism. Adolf Hitler's primary examples of Arianism came from Rome and India. And this is why he uses the swastika in reverse.
Which is a religious emblem.
Yeah. And you know, world over, it only means, it can mean the earth or the sun, and it has a plethora of esoteric meanings, but you see it in the Ethiopian church, etc. So these symbols are world over. But when it comes down to the way white supremacy flows through the world over, it came by way of the Roman Catholic Church. And because of these implementations of racism through the scripture, they utilized the old sayings like black people were the cursed seed of Ham and things of this nature. So you have all of these different perceptions and concepts that come through a religious lens. So we know as Freemasons that are rightly, you know, interpassed and raised, that we know that Freemasonry is not a religion. We understand that we utilize the allegory and symbolism that can be found world over in religion. But at the end of the day, the mythology of Hiram is one that is based in Judeo-Christian mythology. And when we look at the Bengal tiger, these things, because I saw somebody post that in the comments, they said, well, that's not true because of the tiger's claw. So I'm very familiar with that, because coming from a French lodge, we're very esoteric. So we understand, like, a lot of the confusion that takes place for those amongst us that are literalized allegory. And this is a big problem when we deal with religious people as a whole. They literalize allegory. Like, I practice Ifa. And in Ifa, if you've ever been initiated...
Alafia, my brother.
Alafia. So if you've ever been initiated in any craft, as well as I practice Haitian Boudin, Voodoo Ascent under a Bokor. The initiation process that I went through in Ifa and Haitian Boudin is very, if not the same, can be equated to a Freemasonic initiation. It's almost identical. Well, the difference is the language, like the brother stated earlier. So when you're dealing with the catechisms of Freemasonry, it can only be stated in a European context. There is no other way to prove you're a Freemason without utilizing the language that is agreed upon, that has been said as the consensus to represent what is represented by the UGLE, which is nothing more than the grandchildren of the Holy Church of Rome.
Woo.
So when we understand that, we understand that there's a lot of things. Like, so I'm only 32. I'll be 33 in April. And in our lodge, we do a 33 rite ritual and stuff like that when we turn 33. And it's highly based in Rosicrucianism. Not in our 18th degree work of Rosicrucianism or the Scottish Rite, but in the ancient practice of Christian mysticism of the Rosicruce. So these type of rituals are considered irregular because, like, even the fact that we study gematria and we studied history of the tarot and astrology along with astronomy, you know, it's a lot of things that they just say, oh, you guys are like spooked out, or you guys are too esoteric, and you're too far left in the spirit realm. And it's like, but we're Masons. You know, we're supposed to seek knowledge in the dark and in the light. And if that's the case, why not study things in entirety and instead of holding an assumptive position on it, thinking that I know, when I know that I do not know. Therefore, I should be a student at that moment and learn something. So I always like to tap in on your show because, you know, you always been there in times when I needed balance. Yeah. So I always like to tap in, especially being an esoteric Mason and a person who studies very deep comparisons. The Baba Ashraf Kwesi, for instance, has the Amun Ra, the craft of Amun Ra, where he takes people to Kemet and he raises them there.
Wow.
It's called the craft of Amun Ra. Then you have the Asar and the Set Society, which also does an initiatory practice where they take people to Kemet and they raise them in their degrees in Kemet. So you have people like Dr. Malachi York, who I was a former student of for 12 years, who started through Whitaker, through the John G. Jones Grand Lodge in New York in 1967 or something like that. And he started the Nuwapian Grand Lodge of Moors. And you see them wear fezzes and things like this because they got their original charter, which I didn't know, from the International Masons. So and Dr. York was like, well, it doesn't matter who I get my charter from because we're black and we're standing on our own 2 feet. You know, we're building our own temples without the swing of a hammer, the sword of our brow. We're doing things that are needed to represent our own greatness, like all other races that practice Freemasonry do. Although they may seem irregular in the beginning of the formation, they usually become a part of a regular body. And these lodges try to keep their racial integrity. And I noticed that about a lot of Masonic bodies. And I don't necessarily say that that's a negative thing until prejudice is practiced. So if a brother is trying to visit and he can't visit based on not the fact that they think he's spiritually clandestine or irregular, but based on the fact of his skin color, that's when that does occur. And people say, well, that doesn't occur. That happens all the time, especially in a racially segregated city like Chicago.
Brother Johansson, you was going to say something. Go ahead.
See, now, what he's talking about, you know, and what he's dealing with, like, he spoke about Ifa. Ifa is the spiritual belief system that comes out of Nigeria, right? It's in several areas of Nigeria. Most people call it Yoruba. Now, in the tradition of the people in Nigeria that practices that spiritual belief system, if we were to look at that culture and try to identify the Masonic group, it would be the priesthood of that culture, which he talks about being initiated. There's several secret societies within that spiritual belief system. There's several of them. African culture in general is a huge society. That's what it is. We brought secret societies to the world. There's a huge group of them, so, and each of them have their part that they play in the culture, and that's when we look at and like, oh, we want to start our own system, but we believe we got to go through, Freemasonry. That's when people talk about, oh, Freemasonry is ours. I'm not sure I would agree with that. I would say that we were the source of it. But if you want our stuff, it is there on the continent today, still there. All you got to do is go and get it. It is still there. It is through those initiatory processes that he talked about. And Vodun and from Haiti that we're big time scared of. And why are we scared of it? Because Europeans told us to be scared of it. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. We gotta, and that's another thing. We have to stop being scared of those practices that were once ours. And the reason they're no longer ours is because we were told that they was bad, they was naughty. But we all know that even now, let's just be honest with it. There are people we know that practice what we would call voodoo or voodoo, because we know that, hey, Miss Johnson down the street, she got that stuff you can drink. It can really help you. I mean, they still there now. They still there in various communities.
They're still, in various communities, of course. And those are the kinds of things that, and for us, someone asked me what is the most effective way to fight white supremacy, European supremacy. And a lot of people perceive it as marching and all of that. No, that's not it. The most effective way is for you to place your cultural paradigm and perspective and values priority to your life and make no excuses for it. So I'm not going to send my children to a trip to Washington, D.C. to go to a shrine created through white folks' ancestors. Because that's exactly what those monuments are. People go, they touch them, they look at them. In certain situations, when they start thinking about those wounds, they even start crying. You see what I'm saying? See, I'm not going to send my children to Washington, D.C. before I have a candle lit for my grandmother who passed away.
Right. But check this out.
That's going to be priority.
I'm going to share this with you. And this is out of respect to everyone who comes on the show. We must be very careful about supporting the idea of just because a state or states do not have recognition with Prince Hall, that all of them are racist. I want to make that very plain and clear. And I say that out of due respect to Freemasonry and the brothers in the craft and the sisters of the order, that we must be mindful of Freemasonry, and that even though we may talk about racism in Freemasonry and all of that, but I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, or every Grand Lodge, be it Prince Hall or be it Ancient, Free and Accepted, or be it modern and what. I don't want to paint everybody with a broad brush, but I just want to point out some of the things on this show that most are afraid to talk about and stand upon. So when we have these conversations, people will clearly say, look, we're not afraid to say that, hey, in a lot of cases, when you're down south, this is what it is, and across the board, and just to say that this thing we call Freemasonry, Order of the Eastern Stars, is a beautiful thing if it's practiced accordingly. That's it. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, and let's look at a few things, right? To really sometimes to bring it home, to highlight this idea of color and Freemasonry, right? How Freemasonry expresses itself. How does Freemasonry express itself? Right? if we look at, I'm talking every Masonic document, right? If we look at every Masonic document that talks about the 4 cardinal virtues, right? The 4 cardinal virtues. These are concepts.
Mm-hmm.
These are concepts. These are not human beings. These are concepts.
Mm.
But every Masonic document symbolically personifies those 4 virtues as 4 white, 4 women that would be classified as white.
Mm.
You're not going to find a Masonic document that will personify them as anything else. As anything else. And the question becomes, why? Because the people who organized it and put it together were men that would classify themselves as white. European men.
And with that being said,
you see what I'm saying?
Shit, see what you're saying? You slapped me in the face with it. But that's what you did. You slapped me in the face with it. I couldn't help but to see what you were saying. Go ahead, King. You still on the phone? King Musa.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, now I'm gonna say this before we get ready to go off. I have reached out to you a couple of times, bro. You all right?
For me?
Yeah, you.
Oh man, I'm in Chicago, man. So the way everything been going as far as like COVID, and I had a lot of money invested in Ethereum and XRP and Bitcoin. So
my boy.
I just been relaxed.
So you got some money right now.
Yeah, I've been, I own a artist management company and adult entertainment company. So I've just been receiving my benefits while this COVID been going on. Yeah, I've just been chilling, man. I've been, trying to introduce more to inner city youth to true understanding of what Freemasonry is, and trying to, just teach them that things are not what they appear. Because me being an artist manager, I have an R&B artist, and he's 17. He's gay, and one of the main things that his fan base thinks, because he got a huge fan base, and one of his fans said, "Oh, you're working with King Musa." He was like, "Oh," and this is a person that's like, I don't know this kid. Like, he had to be like 16 or 17. And he was like, I watched some of his videos before, and he has Masonic symbols in his videos, and he has the Baphomet in his video one day, and I saw this, and he was like, I think you sold your soul to the Freemasons. And I remember commenting on his post, and I said, Freemasons aren't in the business of purchasing souls. We leave that to the Christians. And like, the whole post, like, went up in uproar. They're like, see, I told you. Like, we don't purchase souls, we leave that to the Christians. I said, Christians are the only religious faith on the planet that tells you to exchange your soul. Muslims don't ask you to give your soul. Jews don't ask you to give your soul. But Christians, and a lot of that is based in the fact of an ancient concept of soul consumption, which again comes from Rome. And these people believe that if you put a person into servitude, that you can actually own their soul.
Whoa.
So a lot of these concepts that are in Christianity were Christianized when the Roman Catholic Church was spreading the original doctrine of Christianity, and it just Christianized a lot of the pagan practices that are still rooted highly in Catholicism. So if you're not a part of the Roman Catholic Church, a lot of those rituals you will not see. But if you are a member of the Red House, if you are a person who has traveled those Jewish degrees, you'll understand a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about when it comes down to like just the rituals that take place in the Roman Catholic Church, as well as the rituals that take place in a synagogue. So these things are just understood, and race is involved, because anytime you're reading a scripture that tells you that the Creator chose this group of people over all other nations, and He had done that with no other people, that allows you to know that these people have a supremacist mindset and thought process about themselves that tells them that they're better than everyone else on the planet.
Because God chose them.
Because God chose them.
Exactly. Right. So when they develop the degree work, a lot of them developed this degree work through the religious lens and through the prejudice lens of racial inequality at the time. So they weren't in the business of including the Negro. They didn't at all. They did not care. The French, on the other hand, were always a lot more lenient when it came down to color, because it wasn't a big thing to them about color, because they had a different admiration for the African as opposed to the Spanish and the Portuguese, who really had a strong disdain for us because we had conquered them. Whereas French, we rose them out of two dark ages. Like when people say we resurrected Europe from the dark ages, we're specifically talking about the French. The French were the people we aided. We aided the French. In return, the French have always, in a way, although they...
Oh, I've lost it, dropped his signal.
Oh, man.
I hope that he was getting ready to get down too. I hope he's able to call back.
Yeah.
I lost his signal.
Yeah, I mean, and what he you know, and it's really interesting. I mean, he spoke about, you know, he touched on the whole idea of the conspiracy theory around Freemasonry and all that, and I've run into that too with some of my friends, you know, and they talk to me about it, you know, and they're always like, you know, the whole satanic worship thing and all that, and I was like, well, I'm not a Christian, so I don't believe in Satan. I was like, so I don't know how that works.
I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say this real quick. Our next show that we're going to do, I'm going to have Brother Darnell Stevens to come on the show, and we're going to talk about Adam was not a man. That's going to be the next show. You see the comment that he's already made in the post. Adam was not a man. We're going to have this conversation. On our next show, it's going to be Sunday.
See the comment? That's what he posted.
Yeah, Adam was not a man. So on Sunday.
Okay, let me say this.
Go ahead.
This is also important, and this is what I mean, right? We can get into that discussion, and I wish what's the brother's name?
Darnell.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Darnell.
That's the brother that said Adam is not a man?
Yes, Adam was not a man.
Yeah, so that's true in the context of what, when you're dealing with Judeo-Christian belief system, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are people who don't believe, who don't have a concept of Adam and Eve.
Hey, so look, let me put this out here right now. Sunday show, because this is made for Sunday. We're talking about Adam. The title of the show, that Adam was not a man. That's the title of the show. Special guest is going to be Brother Darnell Stevens, a member of Hosea Lodge number 7. He now resides in Texas. He's been on the show before. And the reason I'm going to have him on here, hold on just a second. Hold on just a second there, Brother Brother Jackson, if you're still there. The reason I'm going to have him on the show is because I like the dialogue that we have, and he brings up some very interesting points. So if you want to come on also, Brother Johanse, you're welcome to do so, because this is going to be that Sunday where everybody is like watching the Super Bowl. But we're going to bring this. I think the Super Bowl is going to be over. We're going to go on before the Super Bowl. Let's do that. So I would say Sunday morning, my time, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock my time Sunday should be good enough. That's what time we're going to make it. So Brother Darnell, I know you on. You're still watching. 8 o'clock my time Sunday, which is about 10 o'clock your time. We're going live. Adam was not a man. That's the title of the show. We're going to do this.
Okay.
Go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
I was just saying that what is happening when we talk about things like that, like Adam is not a man, certain things, we are talking about the esoteric meaning of in the Judeo-Christian Islamic belief system. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's good. But there are other not deeper, but other deep meaning, symbolic representation that also, is just as meaningful and just as deep, and if we continue to see what we're doing is we're still, I'm trying not to
Bro, look,
validating.
you're just going to have to say it, because what we're dealing with, look, we're breaking a lot of barriers when I say this, is the mere fact that when we practice this thing we call Freemason, we say how saturated it is with a lot of Christianity beliefs and all of that stuff in there. Hold on. Okay, you're back there, brother Musa. Hold on just a second, okay?
All right.
So when we talk, when we bring that into play, we have to seriously understand that we must somehow develop our own system. And too many times we rely on other people and their system. And their system keeps us at odds and fighting with each other. When we understand,
we're trying to decipher their system.
It's theirs.
And it's theirs.
And when we wake up, hopefully we'll be able to develop our own system. It is not to say that they're not already developed. We're just scared to practice them. Like, take for instance, when I go across the border and they're doing the Day of the Dead, and they got the skeletons and they're just doing their things. The candles are lit. It's jet dark. It's a big celebration of death and the resurrection. They're doing what they call the dawn of the dead. They practicing it. They loving it. When we see that, we terrified.
Right.
Some of us are. I can't say all of us. Some of us are terrified.
Right. And it's very interesting, right? It's very. This is just how deeply we are conditioned, right? We see that and we're terrified, right? We're terrified. But one of the most popular cartoons that came out last year was about that very celebration, called Coco. Right?
Yeah.
We weren't terrified to watch that cartoon.
Well, but that's because what they do now, we can go on and on. Look, I've been on here 137 right now, 1 hour and 37. I'm gonna give King Musa the last say so, because we coming back on Sunday.
Yeah, I just agree with with the topic of discussion tonight. And like I said, I think racism and esotericism play a dualistic part in the way people perceive Freemasonry. And like I said, when you get into like a lot of the esoteric teachings, that's when a lot of brothers leave out of their league, because although they're proficient in their degree work and they can memorize a lot of the stuff that they have to memorize to get through the degree work, when it comes down to the overall understanding and full spectrum, a lot of brothers is lacking in that area. That's why I love when you have these discussions, like, is Adam a man, and Mechebal, who they call Eve, meaning mother of all, and all of these things like that. There's a deeper esoteric meaning, especially for a person like myself, because my specialty is linguistics. So I always go into language, and I usually and I always tell people, I said, my job isn't to debate you and to prove you wrong. My job is to present factuality over my opinion, so I can come to an overall consensus of what is factual based on what I've researched. And now I'm not going to sit up here and not say I don't have favorable opinions about things, but I try to have more evidence than none to support why I feel that way. And that's one of the main reasons why I feel like your show is going to continually be needed as we go through these times to come, especially with a lot more young people joining the body, coming out of the demo lane. A lot of brothers have particular perspective on Freemasonry already. And then when they get in there, I noticed a lot of brothers is like, they have expectations, and then the expectation doesn't reach what they thought it would. And then they're disappointed. And I'm like, they're like, they don't study gematria in my lodge. I'm like, why? He's like, they don't. And I'm like, well, you need to talk to your elders. You know what I'm saying? See what type of things can be, you know what I'm saying, brought new to refresh y'all lives, because you do have new inquiring minds that are coming in that want to have more than just biblical degree work. Because again, it is biblical degree work.
And I'm gonna get ready to go on this one. Alex Fitzgerald said, we do not have to create a new system. We just need to rebuild our two pillars. Everything we need and know contains in them. Okay, with that being said, we already have a system. And I do agree with what he said. We already have a system. But we are too afraid to practice our system. With that being said, I hope that everybody do as I always claim. The higher we climb, the clearer the vision. Stay out them damn bushes and keep your light on. I'm out. Peace and be well, everybody.